What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 177 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Today, I want to talk to you about Aquaman, Time and Tide, written by Peter David, with art by Kirk Harvinen and Brad Venkata. This is a 4-issue miniseries that kind of kicked off Peter David's well-regarded Aquaman run in the 90s. This actually came after the 7-issue Atlantis Chronicles miniseries, I believe, but this is the first story by Peter David that actually features Aquaman. And basically, the story here is that Aquaman in the present day is looking back on his life and reflecting on some of the things that have happened to him leading up to where he is in the present day. And so we get to see one story. It's one of Aquaman's first team-ups with the Flash, where he is kind of accepting his role as superhero, which he never really considered himself to be a superhero before that event. And then we get to see one story where he's a toddler and he kind of finds out that he is not what he always thought he was. And then we get to see one story where he's a teenager and he's kind of exploring the surface world a little bit. He meets his brother, the Ocean Master, for the first time. And then we get to see another story with Ocean Master where he is trying to wreak havoc on Atlantis. And a lot of this book is about identity, which is a really good thing to explore with Aquaman, because he is a man of two worlds, kind of like Superman. He is part of the surface world, but he's also part of Atlantis, and he's also not really part of either world. He feels like an outsider in both halves of his life, and so exploring identity is a really good, potent theme for Aquaman, and I think that Peter David explores it very well here. What I like a lot about this, it kind of reminds me of Mark Waid's JLA Year One. You'll hear a lot of people talk about deconstruction of superheroes in certain stories. For example, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run was a deconstruction of the mythos of Swamp Thing and the storytelling engine of that character and that series. Basically, Alan Moore was saying that the idea and the premise behind Swamp Thing was kind of stupid and it wasn't going to sustain an ongoing series for very long, and if it was going to go on for very much longer, it was going to be kind of stringing fans along, making them think that they were going to get something that they weren't really going to get. And so Alan Moore started off his Swamp Thing run by saying, okay, that's dumb, I'm going to change all of it, I'm going to take it apart and put it back together in a better way. That's deconstructing a character. I feel like Aquaman, Time and Tide is a reconstruction of the character of Aquaman. Basically, Peter David starts with everyone saying that Aquaman is a lame character and is stupid and is very limiting. In the foreword of this book, he said that a lot of people ask him, how can you write such a limited character? And he said that he feels like a lot of the other characters of the DC universe are too limited, whereas Aquaman he feels like isn't. And he starts from that point, and then he tries to put together a character that isn't what everyone thinks he is. And of course, he's preaching to the choir here, because I love Aquaman. One of my videos from a few years ago was me ranting about how everyone makes fun of Aquaman and says that he's really lame. I really like Aquaman. I think that he's a very fascinating character, and if you are kind of like that too, you like Aquaman and you want to show people, no, he is not a punchline, there's really something interesting about the character, I would recommend that you show people Time and Tide. Now, would I recommend that you go out and try to find this out-of-print graphic novel from 20 years ago? No, because DC is now going to be reprinting this run. They are going to be doing the entire Peter David Aquaman run. I know later at the end of this year we are going to be getting, I think, the Atlantis Chronicles in one volume, and also the beginning of Peter David's actual Aquaman run in another volume. And this will be reprinted probably in that volume. So if you are very interested in this and you haven't read it before, don't get this particular printing that's really thin, it's just 4 issues long. Go ahead and wait for the longer, much more expansive volumes that will be coming out, and presumably DC will be putting out collections for the entire Aquaman run by Peter David, which is something that I have been waiting for a very long time. I have spent a lot of my time reading DC Comics, hearing people talk about how awesome Peter David's Aquaman run is, and this definitely is, and now I'm very excited to finally get to see if the rest of the run holds up too. So anyway, I very much enjoy this book. I highly recommend that you read it when DC puts out a newer trade paperback that collects this, as well as much more from Peter David's Aquaman run. So that's about all that I have to say about Peter David and Kirk Harvinen and Brad Venkata's Aquaman, Time and Tide. I hope that you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your day. Catch you later.